shying away from that. But if only a major demographic, a major percentage of the young persons are voting, maybe we won't be talking about voter apathy in Nigeria as a whole. So, and that's why we started the Ready to Vote campaign. The Ready to Vote campaign is basically targeting at increasing youth voter participation. So these are some of the things we've been doing, and of course we're piloting that in Ekiti and Oshun. So we'll be doing that, building it on stakeholders engagement to be able to mobilize young people. So we'll also be talking about issues around, or we'll be talking about why do we have voter apathy? Why do we have low voter turnout? Okay, maybe I should just put it in that. Why do we have low voter turnout? Because over and over, we've been dissecting this, we'll be analyzing this, and there are some things that pop up that we're going to throw up today, we'll be throwing up today, so that every of the stakeholders will see. And going into the election tomorrow, so that we can look at how far, because for the pre-election, we've been able to speak to stakeholders, most especially election management bodies. We've spoken or we've discussed with stakeholders generally, EMBs, CSO groups, religious body, and we've released some of this information, discussed with them. So basically, we'll be looking at it tomorrow, vis-a-vis some of the efforts that has gone ahead of the election, and see if there are changes in some of these things, and if there are new dimensions or new issues popping up tomorrow. So I think I've been able to set the tone for the conversation. I won't be the one doing the whole of the talking, right? And this event, of course, is also going to be a conversational event. It's not just going to be, and that's why we're not saying it's a media briefing.
People are surveyed, they said, look, I am going to come out to vote if we have a secured environment. So this, of course, closeness of polling units takes 22% to the voters' residence. So introduction of e-voting. But when you look at secured, let's even isolate secured environment. But when you look at closeness to polling unit, of the polling unit to voters' residence, and introduction of e-voting. E-voting, of course, that is not the real voting that will be taken, but the introduction of beavers, you will notice that these two have been taken care of with the new INEC introduction of the new polling unit and then the beavers. So this is what, of course, some 10% of them said, look, if they pay me, I'm going to come out to vote. If they are not paying me, I'm not going to come out to vote. And 9% said they are looking at the popularity of the candidate. But however, the most important thing is the secured environment. And over the years, we have been seeing that deployment of the security agencies has been huge. Of course, maybe the police alone will be deploying over 70,000 personnel. But the challenge has always been, which we also expect, we are tracking and we also expect the other colleagues here to also track, is that most times the deployment centers around the state capital and centers senatorial district, which means most times they don't even have the logistics to go to some other local governments. So you don't have enough security personnel in those local governments. But all in all, what the people are saying is that if the environment is secure, then I am coming out to vote. But the recent fracas, the recent riot and the shooting and the person that died just few days ago, did not really help the matter. Somebody died. So we also expect that stakeholders, political party need to reinforce confidence, citizen confidence, that should not deter them from voting. So we have to look at, in the last election, these are the top 4 difficulties these voters faced. And we are monitoring it to see how these have been solved in the coming election. So tomorrow, but in the past elections, 43.9% of the people surveyed said, look, the difficulty I faced was that, look, the delay in attending to me. I spent longer time on queue. And of course, the next one talks about smart card reader malfunctioning. But now, of of course, that late arrival of voting materials and the violence, threats, and intimidation. But these are just the top 4, and we'll also be tracking this tomorrow to see what is going on. However, in terms of climate preparation, some of these has also been taken care of. So we only need to see them to that they translate to the real effect on that on the thing. So so now again, what this is showing us is this, and that talks about most times we normally have higher number of registered voters, but across all the stages they keep decreasing. So this is registered voter registration stage, PVC collected, accreditation, total vote, vote cast. But you will notice that at every stage they keep decreasing. So the question here is this: how do we shorten this process, if it is possible? And if you cannot shorten this process, how do we make it seamless with less effort, so that the total vote cast can move closer to the number of registered voters? Now, in terms of vote buying, we are predicting that there is likely going to be a lot of vote buying in this coming election. And you will have seen, you will have heard what the presidential candidate of APC said when he came to Ekiti. And he said it openly that if you don't vote, we won't give you money. So this is a call, this is like saying, look, we are going to pay you, but you have to vote for us. So, and this is one of the predictions we have seen. And even beyond what we have seen around, when you look at all the economic indices of Ekiti State, this is what the fiscal sustainability of Ekiti State is. This was the data released by budget. Out of 35 states and 36 states in Nigeria, in 2017, Ekiti is 35, but let's just even look at 2020. They are still 35 in terms of fiscal stability. But again, when you look at the consumer price index, this is from MPS. So somebody will be asking, what is the implication of this? What this means is that, and when you look at the Southwest, prices of goods and services, most especially food items, is higher, is more expensive compared to the remaining 5 states in Southwest, in Ekiti. So this is, this is, so when you look at also the inflation, when you look at it, one of the things this is saying is that the purchasing power of the people have been reduced from 2018 to 2022. So, which means now 2,000, 1,000 is also a big money to the people. Now, this is a concern that this is one of what the data is also showing, invalid votes. And this is where we keep talking about the idea of the voter education. Don't forget, the first slide shows that Ekiti people are the political consciousness is high. However, they also said they have seen specimen ballot paper before. But when you look at the data, let's look at this data. This is invalid vote in Ekiti. Governorship elections since 1999. In 1999, we have 9,000. 2009, this is the governorship stuff. We have 9,000 too. It reduced. In 2014, it has gone to 10,000. But in 2018, it has moved to 18,000 invalid votes. But this is not an ordinary figure. Let's put value to this figure. This is the distribution of the invalid vote. Now, the green talks about the increase in 2018 across all the local governments. That is people that voted and then the votes are not going to be counted because they are invalid, either whatever. But this is the value. When you look at number of invalid votes in 2018 is more than the number of valid votes in 2 local governments, F4 and Ekiti. Which means, if you have to translate this, which means out of 16 local governments in 2018, 14 local governments actually voted. Because the number of invalid votes already cancelled 2 local governments here. And that's why I said it's not an ordinary invalid vote. This is not just an ordinary number. So what we need to now begin to ask ourselves is, how come the number of invalid votes in the Ekiti state keep increasing? So that is the concern. We have, and we have been able to also track voter education. INEC has done excellently well. I know IFES has done excellently well around that in local governments and different places. But the concern now in 2018 is that increased astronomically. And in and when you now look at people deliberately voided their votes to clear their conscience because they have collected money from party A and party B. So they just feel like, well, I won't vote for any one of them, or I voted for 2 of you. So that increased this number. Then number 2 is also in case of how do we measure? Maybe we have been placing more emphasis in people coming out to vote than the actual voting. Because 18,000 actually came out to vote, but they did not vote right. So it's another area we need to look in our voter education. So this is another data that we also need to interrogate and look at in the past election and how it's going to affect this election. It's the variance between accredited voter, that is the difference between accredited voter and total vote cast. What is the difference? What are we trying to say here? In 2014, the difference between accredited voter and total vote cast is 8,000, which, and don't forget, in that 2014, we were still doing, you will still have to come and do your accreditation and go back home and vote. So it is understandable. But by the time we go to 2018, it's simultaneous accreditation and voting. Even at that, so you are expected to vote, to accredit and go and vote immediately. Even at that, 2,410 people accredited with simultaneous accreditation and voting, and then we couldn't even see their ballot paper. So to therefore put it in their pocket and elope with it, even with simultaneous accreditation. And that is what we are saying here. We also need to track this tomorrow. We also need to look at this with the simultaneous accreditation. However, this introduction of simultaneous accreditation really helped when you look at the reduction. When you look at the reduction from 8,000 to 2,000. It really helped, but I think we can still do better if it is simultaneous accreditation. So what about the citizen expectation of beavers tomorrow? Number 1 is that top 3, of course we pick top 3. Number 1 is that they expect beavers and other tools to create room for more transparency tomorrow. Number 2, they expect beavers will make the election process faster. And that is one thing we need to understand about the generation we have. The generation we are in wants everything fast. If your data, if your internet is slow, you don't feel comfortable. Everything has to be faster. So they want a faster process tomorrow so that they can maximize that time. Then the third one is that they want beavers to reduce electoral malpractices. So we are likely going to be gauging the success of beavers across these 3 major lines tomorrow. However, in the past, after an FCT election, this is what the newspaper was saying about beavers. And this, we hope, with the mock election that took place, we hope that this narrative will change from Ekiti, because INEC has prepared, they have SS beavers, people that are the technicians that are going to work are closer. But we hope this narrative will change tomorrow. But those are the expectations tomorrow. Okay, and I think the last one is the security of the environment. Historically, Ekiti State, maybe Ekiti State, these are the type of violence that is common in Ekiti State. Historically, political thuggery, political assassination and killings, and political group clashes, and then burning of houses and the rest. So these are historically, this has been what is common in Ekiti. And then we release a report where some of these details and political assassination, we itemize them in that. So, however, because we have been tracking, we've started tracking from last year, issue of violence within the states. And I say violence because there is a way this can be jumped upon by by politicians to foment trouble. They may not even be part of electoral violence, but there is a way politicians can bring it in. And so what we started doing is to also draw a trend. What are the issues? What are the predominant violent cases that are here? But we've been able to track 21, and out of these 21, 13 of them are non-electoral, but they are issues that happen around, but only 8 of them are incidents of electoral death. Now, electoral violence, we have 5 deaths, including the one that happened just a few days ago in the shootout, maybe in a year thereabout. So this is what the violence cases look at. However, when you compare the issue of the violent cases with other, let me say, with Anambra election, governorship election, you will say Ekiti State is relatively peaceful. So this is what is, because we only have 8 that is electoral violence cases. So now we've been able to identify predominant issues across senatorial districts. So whichever senatorial district some of us will be tomorrow, these are the issues we've identified and tracked to these places. In the Ekiti non-senatorial district, this issue of kidnapping is rampant there, and to even what is it called? A traditional chief, traditional ruler can also be kidnapped here and ransom collected. So it's common here. Then fake news is here. Then Ekiti Central, you have gunmen attack, and of course we all know what happened in Ekiti, just with the driver association, political thuggery, fake news, political group, and vote buying. This is peculiar to Ekiti Central. Then Ekiti South, we have kidnapping and fake news is also there. So in this election, the media landscape is polarized with a lot of fake news, and that is why we need. It calls for concern. We need to do a lot of fact checking on news and verify. In fact, as yesterday, there was news going around that a court sitting in Abuja has disqualified the APC candidates. So I don't know how many of us had that yesterday. It was moving around. So it's a lot of fake news within the system. So what are the issues, potential for, major risk factors that could trigger election violence in this Ekiti election tomorrow? Number one is this political thuggery. We have to look at that, and we have to see how they are being caught. Of course, the security agencies are going to do, if they have not done that, the show of force to push these people away. Then what about the inadequate preparation of INEC? It's a potential for violence. And how? Because when you keep having logistic challenge, people tend, in an atmosphere where fake news is rampant, people can say, look, this is deliberate to disenfranchise us in our community, in our polling unit. And I give an example of what happened in Anambra. You know, when in the governor's location, Soludo's location, where the beavers could not work for some time, you know, it took a lot of things to douse the tension, and the people stayed. But such a thing, in an atmosphere of fake news, can be turned that no, INEC want to, they are working for this, they are working for that, and people may want to, the agitation may rise. So this is where INEC, we call on INEC here to dot all the I's and cross all the T's for this election. Now, good for us, and luckily, Ekiti's topography is perfect. We don't have riverine area, we don't need gunboats, and things. There won't be any excuse not to start, for the polling unit not to open as at 8:30 with the topography, with the terrain we have. So this preparation needs to be, and then we will also be monitoring the opening of polls tomorrow to look at how we then vote buying is also a major risk factor. Why? In 2018, I remember personally I witnessed a situation in the police unit where a political party was sharing 5,000, another political party was sharing 2,000, and then people started jumping the one sharing 2,000 to 40,000. At the end of the day, what happened is that the man that was sharing 2,000 felt is losing, and then decided to cause commotion within the polling unit. So it took the security agencies to come and restore peace in that particular. So it just felt like, look, if I'm not going to, I don't have the financial power to manage this, then let's scatter everything. And that is one of the implications of the vote buying. So, and that is it. Then, the security agent need to be neutral. And as we can see, their partiality will speak volume. So, most elections, and let me say it, if the security agencies conduct themselves professionally, we tend to have each free election, and that is what we are expecting also tomorrow. Then, of course, political parties and their candidates they are unhealthy rivalry, but with the peace accord signed, we expect that they will comport themselves. Of course, hate speech is another thing. Then fake news and biased report by the media, and then party agent. And we keep flagging this party agent. The reason why we are flagging the party agent is because most stakeholders doesn't pay attention to the party agent as a major risk factor too. And why are they major risk factor? Because they are legally permitted to stay at the polling units. They are legally permitted to stay at the polling units, at least to monitor their principal stuff. Now, in most cases, these people serve as intelligence officers, mobilizing people from outside the polling unit to come and disrupt the election. At times, they also in the courtroom and say, guy, we are losing here, show, things like that. And then they communicate that thing. So we need to make sure that party agents abide by the rule, code of conduct, and also properly identify with their tags. Their passports should be in their tag, their name should be there, not just meeting party agents alone. And this, over the years, this has always been the issue because even they don't submit their passport to INEC. So let's now look at, this is what the hotspot mapping is looking at. Of course, all this yellow, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and local government painted in yellow, which means it can swing to either volatile or peaceful. But if you ask me, this yellow, this amber, is where we should focus more, because it's like the peace there is fragile. It can go either way, and we need to really look at it. Of course, the green talks about our prediction is that we expect a peaceful election in this area, and then the red talks about, look, these areas we need security agencies need to double up their security architecture in this area and see what they are going to. And then if you will be roving, you also have to go around these places with caution. And I think lastly, this gives you an idea of the senatorial district and the distribution of course, the 3 candidates that will be contested. So what it looks like here now is that this is PDP candidate, this is APC candidate, and this is SDP candidate. So what it means that the 3 major people are called to Ekiti South to pick their deputy. all of them have gone to Ekiti South Central to pick their deputy. So which means you have two major candidates coming from Ekiti West, Ekiti Central, and then you have the SDP coming from Ekiti North, and then all their deputies are coming from Ekiti South. So in the actual sense, you can't say this place is going to be yes, but it just shows that look, this is, we have to be vigilant. You can't write this place off and say this place is going to be the zone. So this gives you what it looks like. So in all, tomorrow and the situation is open, we'll be tracking potential for violence tomorrow. And what are the potential for violence? They are the things that are not violence as it were, but can lead to violence. Like we said, inadequate preparation of INEC, probably beavers malfunctioning, maybe late arrival of materials, late opening of polls. All these things are potential for violence. And then we'll also be tracking if we have issues of violence, and then we'll mark them down to the polling unit, and then we'll be uploading them on the website. Two websites will be functioning tomorrow where you can see real-time what is going on. The never.org website and the VTrack website. And then again, we also want to monitor participation and then track how young people are going to. So above all, we expect peaceful election tomorrow. Thank you for listening.